This is Inside Out for the south of England. Next, does this sound familiar? You're working hard but have little money to spare. Bills are rising faster than income. Well, growing numbers of families here in the south are just about managing. Edward Sault has the story of the jam generation.
Christchurch, with the New Forest and a beautiful coastline on its doorstep, it's little wonder that it's a popular place to live.
With below average unemployment and above average house prices, Christchurch isn't a place you'd automatically associate with poverty. Yet those running the town's food bank saying it's been used by more and more people. Many of them are working families struggling to make ends meet.
Tracy Blick's been in charge here for 5 years, and in the past year has noticed a marked increase in the number of people coming in.
Since I started at the food bank, we've actually had an increase over the last year, 41% monthly. An increase on people coming in. We have more families coming in now, less single people. It's that day-to-day struggle. So they're managing normally all year round, and then something tips them over the edge that brings them into the food bank.
It's estimated that 19 million people in Britain are just one unexpected bill away from financial crisis. For former nurse Emma, it was having to move at short notice that tipped her off a financial cliff. Along with her son and daughter, she was moved into temporary accommodation, shared with other tenants, some of whom had drink and drug problems.
Very, very tough to see, a little boy that was quite happily playing in the garden and doing his usual boy bits with his cars and things like that, to not even being able to go to the bathroom by himself because he was so scared.
After 9 stressful months, they were moved to a travel lodge, but what should have been a change for the better ended up making life even tougher.
At the time, I was nursing, and I actually lost my job through being placed into the travel lodge because they wouldn't allow my daughter to look after my son, because the rules are they have to be 18 to stay in a room. So I'd actually become unemployed at that time as well. So yeah, the whole situation was just diabolical. I couldn't feed my children because there was nothing to cook with to feed them.
Homeless and now unemployed and unable even to cook for her children, Emma hit rock bottom.
I was driving on the motorway and I didn't have my children with me, and for a split second I just thought, if I keep my foot on the pedal and keep going and have an accident, then my children would be looked after, because I felt that I wasn't doing a good enough job. And that's when I turned to my family members and said, hey, I'm not dealing with this very well.
With nowhere to cook at the hotel, Emma relied on the food bank.
Christchurch Food Bank were fantastic, and they delivered as much food as they could that we could use in the room, especially for silly little things like milk, not having a fridge. So where could I store milk to do their breakfast? So they would bring me lots of long life milk for the children, and then they also put credit on my daughter's school, so they paid for her school meal so she could have a hot meal at school. It was amazing. I wouldn't have been able to get through what I did without them, definitely.
So you pull it down like this.
Is there anything else that's left over?
Yes. So you can use a bit of beef, you could use bacon, you can use ham.
This is a food bank with a difference, as Tracy also runs cooking and budgeting classes, which mums like Christine have found to be a lifesaver.
I've gone from £140 a week food shopping to like £60 a week food shopping. So it's a huge difference, especially when you're on benefits and you've only got a small amount of money to use.
Tuck all those little bits in underneath, like that.
Just along from Christchurch's Bournemouth, with its 7 miles of golden sand, and it's already home to some of the most expensive properties in the south.
A popular university town drawing students from around the world, the outdoor living and Victorian architecture on offer here has proved to be a winning combination. It is a great place to live. I should know, I've set up home here, but that also means competition for housing is fierce.
While most of the country had a downturn last year, rents in Bournemouth, already well above average, rose by 5%.
I'm off to meet another lady called Emma. Born and raised in Bournemouth, she's a mum to a 7 and 10-year-old. She works 18 hours a week in a local store, but struggles to keep up with the bills.
My rent is quite high. Obviously, I live in Bournemouth and renting here is not cheap, so I pay £1,200 a month for my rent. You know, not having any money in your pocket is a worry, and not knowing where the next meal is coming from, and kind of living from payday to payday, and to be put in a situation where you can't go to work because you need that money to buy food is, you know, it's heartbreaking, it's soul destroying, yeah.
Faced with a straight choice between paying bills and putting food on the table, there's only one answer.
At the moment, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. I'm eating and I'm feeding my children. You know, some weeks are beans on toast weeks because that's the cheapest thing. I'm lucky now that my children are entitled to free school meals, so I know that they've had a hot meal in school, so I don't feel so bad about giving them something on toast or sandwiches when they get home from school.
Week in, week out, for families like Emma's, life is an endless round of cost-cutting and deciding what you can live without.
I mean, little things like I've cut out fabric conditioner because that's not an essential. I use washing powder, I don't use fabric conditioner. I make sure there's shampoo, I don't use conditioner for my hair. You know, it's little things that you have to tweak and think, what can I live without this week? What do I need this week? Yeah, it's hard.
Universal Credit is a new service that helps ensure you're better off in work than you are on benefits.
Emma is among the nearly 400,000 people across England whose income from their job is topped up by Universal Credit.
It replaces 6 benefits, including job seekers allowance, tax credits and housing benefit.
The idea is a simple one. Those who work should be better off than those who don't. But as Emma's found out, that isn't what always happens.
This month, because I hadn't met the minimum earning threshold, I had the benefit cap imposed. I think they call that the work incentive, that if you work a certain amount, then you're entitled to the benefit without a cap. I have worked the hours, I just didn't receive the pay in the right pay period for that to work. So I almost feel penalised for going to work this month. Financially, I would have been better off staying at home.
And Emma has a suggestion for those trying to ensure Universal Credit works for families like hers.
I would ask them to do a month in my shoes. What am I supposed to do? Where is that money supposed to come from?
Back in Christchurch, and life's finally turned a corner for Emma and her children.
We are now living in our own 3-bedroom house. And yes, I'm back at work. Things, you know, I'm back on track. Slowly, it takes a while to get through everything that you've been through. My kids are, my daughter's brilliant. She's left school, in college now. She's done well in her GCSEs. Amazed that she managed to get through what she did. My son still struggles a little bit, but he's still getting help and to get over the things. But it's good, always good.
Next week, we'll be sampling one of the South's favourite tipples.
Let's give it a little swirl just to get some volatiles into the headspace.
And meeting the small producers who dreamt big.
A lot of people, they come up and say, oh, we're inspired because you've changed your career. We'd love to do that. Well, I say do it.